Welcome to my kitchen. In today's episode, I'm going to show you how to make banana muffins. And these are going to have a nice crumbly top to them that make them just a nice little sweet treat on a cooler day or even a warm day. They're a great treat. All right, so to begin with, we should always start by preheating our oven. So we need our oven at 375. And we also need to prepare our tray. So I have lined my tray with paper liners, or if you have them, you can use silicone liners. I don't have enough of them currently because my other ones are in use for some other muffins I made. But make sure you line the tray. If you don't have any liners, again, you could use a spray to spray your pan well. All right, so there's three main steps to making these muffins. The first one is we got to make our topping that we're going to sprinkle on, and we'll just put that aside until we're ready for it. But we should get this out of the way to begin with. So we're going to start with putting in 1/3 cup of packed brown sugar. So just put your brown sugar, sorry you can't see what I'm doing here, into your measuring cup. Every time you put it in, you're going to pack it down so it's firmly into the measuring cup. And if you have any lumps, make sure you crush them and get them all smoothed out. And then we'll level with a straight edge and add that to our bowl for the topping. Next, we're going to add in 2 tablespoons of flour. So when you're measuring flour, you can just dip your spoon in there and level it off with a straight edge. So there's 1 and 2. And then for a little flavoring, we're going to add 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. And then the next we're going to add is some margarine. So we're going to take 1 tablespoon of margarine. When you're buying your margarine, please read the label carefully. Make sure it has no trans fat in it. Trans fat is not very good for your heart health, so you want to try and protect your heart as much as possible. So make sure you read the label. All right, so scrape that margarine into the bowl. And then using this tool, which is called a pastry blender, we are going to just chop that margarine into the dry ingredients until it looks like kind of coarse sand. And it's just this fine, crumbly topping. Now, if you do not have a pastry blender, the alternative is you can use 2 knives. I'm just grab another knife. And you can use the 2 knives like a pair of scissors in the bowl. And just keep crisscrossing them through your mixture. Margarine cut up into nice little crumbs. And that metal on metal sound is making a nice little ringing like a bell here. I apologize. Alright, for the sake of the video, I'll finish this off with, you can see how that's looking, and that's just some big crumbs. I'll just use my pastry blender because it's a bit quieter. It's really not a very expensive kitchen tool, but it's a valuable one. So if you don't have one, you might want to get one sometime when you can get to a store and buy it. All right, so this is what your crumb topping should look like. It should be just a coarse crumbs. For our dry ingredients, we're going to combine together our flour. So we have 3/4 cup of whole wheat flour. So remember, when we are measuring our flours, we're lightly spooning our flour into the measuring cup. We don't want to pack, shake, or tap it in there. And we always want to use a dry measure to measure flour because it is the most accurate tool to do that. And we'll take our straight edge and level this off. Add this to our bowl. And next, I'm going to add in the same amount, 3/4 of a cup of all-purpose flour. Now, if you didn't have whole wheat flour at home, you could use just all-purpose flour. So your 3/4 cup and 3/4 cup would be 1.5 cups then of all-purpose flour. Using half and half just improves the nutrition of your recipe because then you're getting more whole grains in there. So you're getting all the added benefit of extra fiber and extra vitamins and minerals into your food product. All right, then we need leavening agent. So we're going to be using 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And just a little bit of salt, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt for a bit of a flavor enhancer. So we'll level that, make sure we don't have too much. And put that in. All right, so using your wooden spoon, we're just going to combine these ingredients together in the bowl. And next we will combine. Now we're going to make our wet ingredients together. So first of all, I need 1/3 of a cup of margarine melted. So I'm going to take my margarine and I'm going to put it into the measuring cup, and kind of like brown sugar, I'm going to push and pack it in to make sure there's no air pockets. And I'm going to fill this up right to the top and level it off. And then I'm going to scrape this into a 1 cup liquid measure because I need to put it in the microwave to melt it. And if I tried to melt it, although this is plastic and plastic is microwave safe, it would splash and bounce all over the place, and then I wouldn't have my 1/3 cup of margarine at the end of it. So make sure there's enough room for it to melt properly in the microwave. So I'm going to add this to the microwave for about 30 seconds. Should be enough to melt the margarine. And while that is melting, I can then start to get my other ingredients ready. So the main ingredient in banana bread, of course, is bananas. So these are some bananas that had turned brown at home here. So I just put them into the freezer because brown bananas are best for baking. And when you freeze them, then they're a great tool for baking. So I'm just gonna cut off the end here, peel them, and they just kind of slide right into the bowl there. Next one, and then my 3rd banana. Let's put that right in the bowl there as well. So to mash these up, I'm going to grab my potato masher and just give them good mashing. Frozen bananas are pretty soft already. If you're getting bananas fresh from the store, make sure you do allow them to age a bit first. If they're green, they really will not work nicely. As the bananas age and brown, they get that nice sweet flavor to them that adds a nicer flavor to muffins overall. All right, so continuing on with the theme of sweetness, we need to add 3/4 of a cup of sugar. So sugar you can just pour right into the measuring cup. You do not have to spoon it. Break off any so if you see some, fill it to overflowing. And then with a straight edge, the handle of the spoon will work. You can level off and add it into your mix. Okay, then we need an egg. And our 1/3 cup of melted margarine. I'm using a whisk. I'm going to blend these ingredients until they're nice and smooth. And grab my large bowl with my dry ingredients. I'm going to push them to the side so they make a little well in the bottom. Then I'm going to pour all of my wet mixture in. Then with an over and under stirring technique, I'm just going to keep going and circling around the side of the bowl, scraping along the bottom, coming up through the middle until everything is well combined. Making sure I'm clearly scraping down from the sides. You don't want to over mix your muffins. You should not use an electric mixer to mix muffins at all. Everything can be done by hand. Even the beating of eggs, you really don't need to use an electric mixer to beat eggs. A fork or whisk will work certainly fine for that. Alright, so you're mixing until it's just mixed. You may even see the odd little bit of dry fleck of flour. That's fine. Now we're going to fill our muffin tray. So I'm just going to give my counter a little wipe here so I don't end up with food all over the bottom of my muffin tin. Scraper, all right. So using a spoonful at a time, you're going to fill each paper compartment and spread your batter evenly amongst the 12 portions. You shouldn't ever have batter left over. You should use everything that's in the bowl. Usually my students are eagle-eyed watching to see if I'm going to drop anything and make a mess as I'm going along. They usually quite often like to see their teacher make a mistake or have a little oops along the way. Alright, so even with a spoonful in each, I still have some batter in my bowl. I'm not going to just toss it out. I'm going to use my little scraper and scrape it down and top up each of those muffins. And if I scrape down my bowl, it's then easier to clean afterwards. already have a bit bigger blobs than others going in them. Ideally you want them all to have the same amount because you want them all to cook to the same doneness. If one of them was not very full, it would definitely overcook compared to the one that was overfull. Alright, so I can scrape out a little bit more from here. Then that topping we made at the beginning, you're just going to sprinkle a little bit on each one. You don't have to use all the topping you made. Depends on how sweet you like your muffins. And just to make my cleanup easier, I'm going to give a wipe to my pan, get all that loose topping off, because it'll just burn on. Because I seem to wipe it off. There we go. Alright, and now these bake for 18 to 20 minutes. And we'll check back in when they're done. So now it's time to clean up while they're baking. Alright, so we're in the last 15 seconds or so of them baking. So you'll know that the muffins are done when they have risen and they've got a nice rounded top. They're a golden brown color, they've pulled away from the sides. So we'll take them out shortly, check them by touching the top of them, see if they bounce back. And then if they are, we're good to go. There we go, look at them, nice and golden brown. So we'll just make sure that they bounce back nicely. Oh yes, they do. Notice I check more than one muffin just to make sure my oven's cooking evenly and they're done well throughout them all. So I was able to get everything cleaned up in the time that they took to bake. I hope you were able to as well. And I hope you really enjoy your muffins. Please let me know how they turned out.